Would you want to be monitored 24/7 by tiny drones if it could increase safety and reduce crime? The Brazilian series on Netflix called Omniscient asks this very question and takes us along for the ride. No, this isn't a documentary. This is a show where a city's population is monitored always by personal drones. Despite the safety and precautions that the drones are supposed to bring, a murder happens, and the family has to then work to solve the crime. This show has a lot of the same feelings of 1984, Minority Report, and even iRobot. It's a bit soap opera-ish at times, but it really did grow on me. Nina is a programmer at the tech company which designs and maintains the drones. So when her father is murdered and the drones didn't detect the killer, she goes on a quest to find out the truth. It took me a bit to get into the show. By the end of the first episode, I wasn't totally invested. But by the middle of the second one, yeah, I was fully hooked. And I binged the rest of the 6-episode series. So it's an interesting premise to have because you have these tiny little drones. I mean, I'm saying this, they're not microscopic because people can see them, but they're very, very, very tiny and they're constantly following around. And what's really interesting though is to see the people who grew up in the city. They're just used to this. It's part of their daily life. They're being recorded everywhere, anywhere, all of the time. But it's only within the confines of this city. So when visitors come in, they're a little weirded out because a drone is assigned to them as they go around. And then as they leave, it just stops at the border and then does whatever it's going to do. From a sociological standpoint, it's kind of cool to watch how some people get used to it and they're totally good with it. And then others who are not used to it, how do they react? Can they handle it? Do they freak out? Do they just, nope, I prefer to live outside of this where I have my own freedoms and I'll take my chances with whatever may come. The graphics in this are fairly decent, but there are some times where it is totally computer generated and there's no way getting around it. It just looks absolutely like that. And so you just kind of go, okay, that's how it is for this little scene, moving on. There's a good amount of intrigue to the show and some mystery also. And then you couple that with some pretty likable and rich characters. The main character, Nina, is brilliant, but sometimes we've got to question her common sense. Like she puts her trust in people or things where as an audience we're going, I don't know if that's the best move. Or shouldn't you be kind of questioning a little bit more? And yet she doesn't all the time. But that's also what adds to the fun of the watch because it just adds this little bit of anxiety, a little bit of like, oh, dumb person. Why are you acting that way? Or why are you believing that? Or I'm not sure that they have your best interest in mind. And sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right, and that's a fun part to just go along for the ride. And that goes down to then, who can Nina trust? Who should she trust? Everybody kind of comes into question at one point or another, even her brother. There's some misdirection in this, and I like that because it keeps us guessing as to what's going on or who's responsible. And it just makes for an interesting and exciting watch. I do like a lot of the characters in this. I like their interactions. I like just seeing how the tension builds. Some of it, yes, is melodramatic and a little over the top, but I didn't find that it hampered my enjoyment of what I was watching, that the story was enough to keep me going and keep me invested. And the pace was pretty good. There was probably a few times where it drugged just a little bit, where I was like, could have trimmed this down maybe just a bit, or you're reiterating certain points. But overall, it kept moving at a good pace and was enjoyable and obviously kept me engaged because, like I said, after that second episode, fully in, just yep, continue watching. Stop asking me, Netflix, if I'm watching. Let me just binge. I like the social commentary that comes along with this. What personal privacy are we willing to give up? What freedoms are we willing to compromise on if it's going to ensure safety? Can it ensure safety? Is the system foolproof? And what about those that are monitoring the system? Are they trustworthy? Are they reliable? Do they have integrity? All of these come into question, and what do we put our faith in? And then can there ever be a society where this could be put into place and thrive? There's sex, nudity, profanity, and violence. I give Omniscient 4 out of 5 couches. So would you be willing to be part of a society where you gave up some freedoms to be monitored 24/7 by these little drones if it could mean that safety was ensured? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.